It's Friday night. That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
You've waited all week, and now it's finally here. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and beyond.
And now, your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
Evening, everybody. July, August. If I had $1 every time we said July, August would be the return to pro wrestling with fans, I wouldn't have $1 million, but I have a lot of money right now. If you had an aspirin for every time I said it, my God, it was made official today. WWE is returning full-blown to live shows outside of Thunderdome. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk about SmackDown. Only 4 matches. Not bad. I don't know how anybody feels about the finish of tonight's main event on SmackDown. Planting the seeds a little bit further. Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, Hell in a Cell. Appears they're going that route. So we'll talk about that. Oh, and we got the quarter-hour ratings. AEW, NXT. You know, I had a lot of you with feedback from last night's show. Yes, I will take that clip of my rant about Impact Wrestling and AEW and how this has been pretty much a disaster for Impact. Not necessarily a disaster, but it has been a tremendous disappointment. You notice today, all of the people out there that don't want to put focus on the fact that Kenny Omega, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, can't get AEW viewers to watch Impact. Notice how all these places refuse to tell you that Impact got 111,000 viewers last week. No debate, no presidential speech, no giant tragedy, even though there's a lot of turmoil going on in the world. No draft, 111,000. Nobody wants to talk about it. Unbelievable. By the way, shout out to Chris, one of my loyal supporters here, good friend of the family. Has to work tonight. Work is always a good thing. Just don't overdo it. How's everybody doing tonight? Looking forward to the weekend? Everybody start feeling, look, there's obviously a lot more to life than just wrestling and social media. But I got to tell you, waking up today to that announcement that WWE is going back on the road July 16th. Fabulous, fabulous. By the way, please let me know if you hear any noise in the background. The air conditioner just went off, but I have it set to like low economy mode, so it may go on and off from time to time, but I really configured the noise reduction here where hopefully you don't hear it. And believe me, when we are now approaching 90-degree weather here in New York, having this AC on during the shows would be a godsend. So no sweat tonight. No sweat tonight. So let's get right into it. WWE issued a press release today that they are returning to live events with fans starting July 16th. Now, not going to get into the whole rant that you and I have been talking about since last year. But the one thing, if you remember, when I said when they went back to live events, the state that we heard more than anything else, outside of Florida, obviously, the state that we kept hearing about them returning was Texas. And more than likely, their first return would be Texas. Now, the 3 events that they have officially announced with tickets going on sale this coming Wednesday would be Friday, July 16th, SmackDown at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Sunday's Money in the Bank pay-per-view, July 18th at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. And Raw, the next day, July 19th, from the American Airlines in Dallas, Texas. Now, again, I'm not going to go into everything we've talked about before. Yes, I do regret not making individual clips to put on YouTube so everybody could just reference to the clip. But a couple of things that I know we've beat to death over the last year or so. One of the most important factors with going back to live shows obviously was to see how, COVID was going on in the United States. And now with vaccines really out there, you see the numbers plummeting. And yeah, on the political side, you all know we're going to find out sooner or later that they had a lot of test results in 2020 that said if you're fully vaccinated, the chances of you re-getting COVID is almost slim to none. And even if you get it, the chance of getting any type of serious effects from it is slim to none. And because the amount of virus in your body is so low that the chances of you transmitting it to someone else is slim to none. You hear all this controversy about the Yankees having 8 players. Number one, they all took Johnson & Johnson. The efficacy rate is a lot lower. Number two, some of those players did not wait the full 2 weeks after the Johnson & Johnson. And number three, more than anything else, is every player, I think with the exception of one, showed no symptoms. They're like, I had no idea I tested positive for COVID. So even if you get it, you really don't have much of an issue because the minute it enters your body's prepared. Your body is, it's not like Men in Black that the immune system inside you lifts a wand and COVID never appeared. No, as soon as it enters your body, it beats the living shit out of it. So COVID obviously was the number one factor. Chad, I'm talking about the return to shows, and I'm explaining why you're seeing events announced in certain states and not in others yet. I'm also explaining why they only announced up until Labor Day. There's a few very important factors. I'm trying to set it up so everybody understands clearly. The second thing that is extremely important, and I'm not going to get political about it, is unemployment insurance. I'm sure even if you don't follow news, because I really don't anymore, I look into the COVID news and anything that I qualify for that I'm entitled to, I'm taking it. Fuck that. I'm not going to sit along the sidelines, let someone else have it. No, man, I'm taking it. Because if I don't take it, it ain't going to change the world. Someone else is not going to lose out simply because I took something I'm entitled to. But the unemployment insurance is a very big deal because in a lot of states, New York included, are still giving not only local unemployment, they're giving you unemployment from the government. So you're getting 3 bills a month, every week, 3 bills a week from the government, federal government, and you get your local unemployment. So the least I think in New York you could get is like $450 a week. In some other states, man, that's a nice damn paycheck to get. So you have a lot of states that is still offering the federal side of the unemployment, the pandemic unemployment, so that there's not a lot of incentive to return to work. You're seeing states like Texas and others that are eliminating the government side of unemployment earlier. And yes, you hear Bernie Sanders and Andrew Yang and AOC and others that are like, oh, that's mean, that's cruel, that's racist, that's this, that's that. And I believe that there are people that truly do need that safety net. But in a lot of states, when you got that kind of money coming in, and here in New York, you do not have to show any proof that you've searched for a job. The last time I was ever on unemployment, and this is how far back it goes, I would have to bring to the unemployment office like every month or something a list of all the employers I tried to apply for a job and didn't get it. That's how you kept your unemployment. Now you don't have to prove anything. All you do is answer 4 questions and that's it. You got your unemployment. So Texas, because the unemployment rate is low and because there is the incentive to return to work, a lot of people don't understand. It's not just states letting wrestling happen again. You got to make sure you could fill the building with enough workers. That's critical. And believe me, there's some venues out there, and that's why this is going to be a slow process. You know, I saw some people today, I don't know, going for the hand jobs or just ignorance, like, oh, did you notice WWE only announced up until Labor Day? This is just a test run. They're going to go back to Thunderdome. No, the reason why it's done at this rate is because there's a lot of states that have just started to reopen. Here in New York, I could tell you with 100% facts, WWE is working out a deal to return to Madison Square Garden. It was only 2 days ago that the mask mandate was lifted for vaccinated people. So Cuomo, and I don't like any of our local government, but Cuomo said to Madison Square Garden, which is privately owned, look, if you want to have 100% capacity, meaning you could sell out the whole building, then only require vaccinated people to show up. If you want to have unvaccinated people at the games also, then you could have it 50% capacity. So the big question is, with some of these venues, are they going to only allow vaccinated people in? Are they going to divide it? Then you have to have a section of just unvaccinated. And that gets a little bit, difficult. When you go to a state like Texas and everybody come in, that's it. Florida, everybody come in, that's it. But some other states, you can't just do that yet. So WWE is right now going to the states where they have not only the most laxed rules and guidelines, but also safety. If they were going to just go to a state simply because they have, no restrictions, they could have had live fans 6 months ago. They could have gone to a couple of states. But WWE is taking serious precaution with this. That's why even with NXT, you're still seeing fans in the building wearing masks. They require everybody to wear a mask. So that's the deal. Now, a couple other things. People are wondering about the size of the arenas. I could tell you just from, little quick research, the American Airlines Arena that is going to host Raw July 19th, they could set that up for 10,000 fans. For Dickies Arena, where that's going to hold Money in the Bank, they can have around 12,000 fans. SmackDown, the first show back with live fans outside of WrestleMania. The Toyota Center, they can have up to 14 or 15,000 fans back in attendance. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Now, some people, I know they don't mean anything by it, but Tom Nelson was the first one to do it to me. And, people immediately, because like I said, look, yes, I'm wearing the shirt to be a little bit of a wise ass to the haters out there. Because most of the time, if you notice the show, most of the stuff that we get into, we're right. Bringing up stuff from The Miz to Big Release and other things going on. I mean, we do have our share of discussed stuff. But I'm not looking for tweet hand jobs or status. I'd rather just be straight up and correct with all of you out there. That is my ultimate reward. But I had Tom and a bunch of others say to me earlier, and I'll use Tom, he could be the leader of all of this. Don Tony, I'm not sure if you know the difference between house shows and events. You keep confusing televised events with house shows. Now that's cute, and I know he meant no harm by it, but even if you didn't want to take that yours truly since 97, whenever we do want to do research and report news, we always get it right. But all you had to do was simple arithmetic. WWE announced a 25-city tour between July 16th and Labor Day, which is September 6th. So 25 cities. That means a minimum of 25 events, right? You're not going to tour a city and just wave, stop by for Starbucks and leave. So you have a minimum of 25 shows. So let's go through WWE's schedule from July 16th to Labor Day. July 16th, SmackDown. July 18th, Money in the Bank. the 19th, Raw. 23rd, SmackDown. 26th, Raw. July 30th, SmackDown. So now we're in August. August 2nd for Raw. August 6th for SmackDown. August 9th for Raw. August 13th for SmackDown. So we're at 10 right now, 10. August 15th, which is rumored for SummerSlam. It's rumored right now, that date. It may not be the 15th, but that's rumored. So we're at 11. August 16th for Raw. 20th for SmackDown. 23rd for Raw. 27th for SmackDown. August 30th for Raw. September 3rd for SmackDown. September 6th for Labor Day. That comes out to 18. 25-city tour. 18 events. Now, if they include NXT in the mix, there's your 25. Because there are exactly 7 NXT shows between that time frame. As of right now, NXT is not making the tours like WWE is. And let's be honest, you look at what they're offering for NXT, and I'm sure for a takeover and for big events, yes, they will obviously tour. But right now, the Capitol Wrestling Center, there is no rumblings that they are closing it up for these events as of July. So right now, you have 7 events on top of what I just announced. You are going to hear more locations and more events announced as they work out agreements with these states. But again, WWE is not going to, do this wrong, as AEW is not. They're going to negotiate, they're going to set it up, and when things are confirmed and they have a set schedule, they will announce it in spurts. They want to put tickets on sale. They want to put them on sale as early as possible so they could get a good feel as to who is going to attend. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that still say, I don't care. I'm not going to a wrestling event right now. I don't feel comfortable. And that's rightfully so. But that is the deal. And, look, for some of you that said earlier, DT, since a year ago, you've been saying July, August 2021, the return. July, August 2021. Honestly, I based it, to be honest for me, I based it on what the numbers looked like last year. And then I added vaccines. And then I took the low side of the vaccines every month. And the fact that I've been saying since February of last year that 1/3 of our country in the United States does not get flu shots. And there's going to be a lot of people, at least a quarter of the country, for the most part, is not going to get this COVID vaccine. So you estimate 60 to 70%, 75%. So if you just did that and spent the time and just calculate and estimate and calculate, you pretty much come up with summer to fall of 2021. That's pretty much it. But it's official. Hey, we got our calculations correct. All I know is, thank God, because you see Valentine's Day come and go, no upticks. You see Easter come and go, no upticks. South Beach, Florida, spring break, no real upticks. And, this is another thing too. I don't have the link here, but I think all of you out there, if you are curious enough, you should search your local state's health website, because here in New York, they have a website that shows you the total number of COVID cases by zip code. My zip code, 11414. Do you know how many COVID cases we had in our zip code, which has about 27,000 residents? You know how many COVID cases we've had in the last 7 days? Not joking. In Manhattan, there's some zip codes. Well, obviously, because nobody's living there right now. They've had none in the last couple of weeks. A lot of zip codes that I live in, there's next to no COVID cases at all. So just think, this is only May 21st. WWE is going to return the shows with fans 2 months from now. Obviously, AEW is doing it sooner. That's fine. Nobody gets bragging rights. Oh, they did it before you. Fuck that. We're getting closer and closer. Just think about how many people will be vaccinated between now and the middle of July. So just keep safe, be careful. You know, if you still feel like you need to wear your mask, do so. If you're going to go to a wrestling event and you're fully vaccinated and you still feel like you want to wear a mask, do so. Do not feel like you have to do so. Look, everybody knows I used to be a big Trump supporter, and up until about 2 years ago, I really started falling out of favor for Trump. A lot of this stuff, just didn't agree with it. One thing I thought was absolutely stupid was this aura that him and his team, they almost made it feel like it's uncool to wear a mask. If everybody would have gotten paranoid right at the beginning and made everybody wear a fucking mask and instill it, I think we would have been a lot better than we are now. But the bottom line is WWE announced their return to live events. We've got 25 of them coming, and it's a phenomenal thing. Awesome. Very, very happy. And look, I just tweeted 2 or 3 days ago that I'm trying to work out something when me and my fiance go to Florida the end of June at the latest to go to NXT and AEW. And the reason why we didn't go into July is because we heard the rumors, just like a lot of you out there, that WWE would also be returning to live events in July. So, now I'm saying to myself, well, maybe I'll just wait an extra month and go to the Garden. Because the Garden, there's a lot of rumors, September, October, Madison Square Garden. We'll see what happens. Now, as far as SummerSlam goes, the rumor right now is that SummerSlam will take place at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. And as of right now, the rumor is August 15th or August 22nd. I think I said earlier the 15th. They're also looking into the 22nd. It's going to be one of those 2 weeks. But again, Vegas, the guidelines have been lowered quite a bit. And they obviously want to go to states where the cases have dropped significantly as well. So, and here's another thing that I think a lot of people need to remember too. There's a lot of wrestlers in WWE that only got their first shot of that being vaccinated within the last couple of weeks, last 2-3 weeks. I mean, if you watch that video that they have floating around now during WWE shows that, you have various wrestlers like, I got vaccinated. I want to do this. JBL, I want to go back to a bar and have a beer. I want this. I want that. But I think Stephanie even said that she's looking forward to getting vaccinated. She got vaccinated a couple of weeks ago. So remember, the whole process is 2.5 months, unless you go Johnson & Johnson route. I went Moderna. I'm ecstatic that I decided to go to Moderna route from the beginning. But if you go Moderna or Pfizer right now, 2.5 months is the process. So, even if some WWE stars get vaccinated now, their second shot, will be a month from now. And then you wait 2 extra weeks. That's right before they tour. So I wouldn't be surprised if you start hearing that a big flurry of WWE stars got vaccinated within the last couple of days. So, and you know what? My continued love and support for all of you out there who are vaccinated or just got vaccinated, about to be vaccinated. Do not fear it. Hopefully you don't get serious side effects from it. But, and I totally respect any of you out there that don't believe in the vaccine. Just be careful. Just be careful. Use common sense, and we'll be good. So, tonight we had a debut on SmackDown. I kind of felt bad about the guy because immediately I'm like, oh, here we go. We're going to get the comparisons of Elias. But there you go. Rick Boogs. People say different things. Eric Bugenhagen. Well, Bugenhagen. I'm not German. It sounds German. But he made his debut today on the guitar, killing it, doing Shinsuke Nakamura's theme. I like this guy. The guy's got the look. The guy and this is why, like I say, especially if you do shows or you write, you blog, or even if you just want to tweet fuck people, get a little feel for the person first instead of immediately shitting on the person. For some of you out there that recognized him right away, kudos to all of you. But for those that didn't recognize him right away, he is, I know at least once, but I think he is a 2-time 24/7 champion. Do you remember the Old Spice commercials not too long ago? And we had a guy pin R-Truth for the 24/7 title. That is him. That is him. But I'm telling you, go on his Twitter account. Go check out his social media footprint. This guy has a crazy amount of charisma. And listen, for people out there that are going to immediately associate him with Elias or something, that's so unfair for the simple reason that Elias, his in-ring repertoire, his charisma, everything about him is nothing like this guy. Do I think this guy is going to be the next big star? I have no idea. But if you go on his social media and see the little skits that he does and the comedy, and he is really interactive with his fans, the guy is pretty legit. And I didn't bother to screenshot any pictures of his physique. But if you pay attention of his physique, if you go back to the days of Scott Hall in AWA, he reminds me of the same physique, especially with that thick mustache. He gives me that old Scott Hall vibe from AWA. So I should have put a picture on here of him, but you could see them on social media. And look, all he did was he showed up in Nakamura's corner, using the guitar, doing the intro for Shinsuke's music, nailing it. And he's got a wealth of charisma behind him. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what he does. Yes, Big T, he is freaking hilarious. Oh, and by the way, Big T, I'm so sorry for not mentioning it the other day. I think you were the one that asked me, where I get my artwork. I get it from 3 guys. AJ Moore, Nuclear Heat Graphics, Shaheen, and the third person, I am escaping his name right now, but if you send me a tweet on Twitter, I will link you all 3 of their profiles. They do fabulous work, and there's a lot of other artwork that I have that I've never put up yet. So, hey, for any of you out there, if you want some good artwork, send me a message as well. I'll send you their profiles. They do phenomenal stuff. Very reasonable, too. Very reasonable. So, Stugatz. You want to know something, Darren? I actually, a long time ago, I wrote a column on my website, and I ended up titling it Scrambled Eggs because it was just like a whole scrambled of topics, and my original author name was Stu Gatz. Stu Gatz. Because in Italian, that is a very bad word. Stugatz. Hey, Stugatz, Stugatz. So that was my original author name. And also, for all of you out there, thank you for the feedback from yesterday. If some of you did not get a chance to check out last night's mailbag, AMA, we played 40 minutes of a vintage interview episode of the Mass Maniac show featuring yours truly, Mass Maniac, New Jack, and Axel Rotten. People were pissing their pants how funny it was. I mean, it's just nonstop for 40 minutes, laughter, 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 uncontrollable laughter. And I tell you, for such a violent, disgusting person as people have labored New Jack, man, this guy laughed an awful lot. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Of all the people that I ever came across in wrestling, of all the people that I interacted with personally, it's not even close. New Jack was the one that laughed the most and made me laugh the most. And if you want to go check it out, I put some timestamps up so you could go right to the clips, and you will not be disappointed. I promise you. So, yeah, last night was phenomenal, man. Next week I'll share a little bit more. So, we're running a half an hour already, so I would like to speed this up a little bit because I have the weekend coming up. I just found out I got to go to a graduation ceremony on Sunday for my goddaughter. And I don't know how they're doing. I think some of it is virtual. But so my Sunday is going to be all tied up. And tomorrow it's supposed to be 90 degrees over here. So I'm going to try to talk my mom into heating the pool so we could all go in the pool tomorrow. Have a little bonding, with my mom. She's up there in age. She's not doing very well. So I'm going to enjoy, the me time over the weekend. Then Monday, it's right back to business here. I'll be up here with Mish. And by the way, have you heard the air conditioner and all? Because it was on like 1 or 2 times while I was just ranting a little bit. So hopefully you didn't hear it. And, let's talk about SmackDown a little bit. And again, only 4 matches tonight. But I thought they did a very good job telling a story as far as where we're going with a few things. It was a little disappointing to see the result of the 6 women tag match tonight. If you haven't seen it yet on WWE social media, they posted, it's not even like 45 seconds. It's about a 7-minute clip of Natty and Tamina going backstage after winning the titles. When you see those tears and you see that emotion and you see even Tamina hugging Vince and some of, hugging Tyson Kidd and seeing legit tears coming down, that's real. That's real to them. And that's why I say I'm sorry for bringing this up again, but I'm totally in agreement with a lot of you out there that there are too many titles in wrestling. Absolutely too many titles. But especially when it comes to the women's side of it, they have had a history of very little, small amount of title belts available. It was never on the same level on the men's side. And when I had gotten the word that WWE was going to debut NXT Women's Championships, which we actually broke here before everyone, right away I see the usual suspects ripping it like this is a joke. Tag team titles in NXT, it's ridiculous. And like I said, don't say it to me and don't say it to your 300 Twitter likes. Why don't you say it to the women's faces? Imagine being a woman going up to NXT and the only title you could go for was Io Shirai's belt. That's it. Nothing else. And, debuting those titles, even though there's too many out there, that's a very big deal for the women, especially the women. So to see Tamina finally getting it and to see that overwhelming emotion, that's real. And that's what should matter. On the entertainment value, yes, it's a little bit different. But I always feel you put the humanity, the human side before anything else. If you invest in the wrestlers you see, if you care about them personally, whether it's AEW, WWE, or anything else, when they have moments in their life that is really, really good and happy, if you care, you should be happy. Personal human should be first. Entertainment and characters should be second. So, anyway. Darren, say it to the female basketball players' faces. Yeah, I know. I found a case of Gerolsteiner. So I threw it in the fridge tonight, so I'm enjoying it. No burps, I promise. No burps. So, SmackDown opened up. Best way they could, in my opinion. Sonya Deville making the announcement, the return to live events with fans. And it was a celebration of champions. And they bring out Rey Mysterio and Dominik, Natty and Tamina. Apollo Crews is out there, but, he's not absolutely thrilled about being there. Obviously, the heels, are not going to embrace it. Yes, I know we've had a lot of human moments with tributes. You'll see baby faces and heels. Yeah, it happens mostly after someone passes away. But tonight, the heels were not going to be so celebratory. And I thought it was funny when Paul Heyman came out instead of Roman Reigns. Did anybody notice that he came out to Roman Reigns' old music? So I thought that was pretty funny. By the way, Big T, who's the one that does the wrestling trivia? Because I've been wanting to partake in some wrestling trivias. I like doing the contest here, but I want to challenge some people and do some wrestling trivia. I think, my brain hasn't fried yet. I'd love to take part in some wrestling trivia. I know No DQ used to do that. And here's a true story. No DQ about 6 years ago invited me to be like on one of their trivia challenges online. And I could sense a little bit of drooling on their part. Then I looked into the person that I was going to face in this challenge. And I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, but this guy was like Rain Man. I mean, it's not just he knew like every wrestler and every event and every time and everything like this. If you would have said what color shoelaces was Kurt Angle wearing when he won the WWE Championship, this guy knew everything. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to take part in that because I would have gotten my ass kicked. But I'm all for doing some trivia. In fact, once I start doing that Zoom stuff, we're going to do our own version of AEW Heels. I want to do some trivia stuff. And Julian, who we shout out last week, they just announced they're going to be proud parents, him and his wife. He hosted those Jeopardy episodes that I was a part of about a year ago. So I'm sure he could probably host them. I would love for all of us to get together. Even if we did like Family Feud style, we have teams. And we just do some trivias here and there, just for bragging rights than anything else. So anyway, Roman Reigns doesn't come out. Paul Heyman comes out instead to Roman Reigns' Shield music. And, he brings up what we've been talking about. Roman Reigns is going to be your champion, your tribal chief of the WWE going into fans returning. Roman Reigns will be the number one ticket seller for WWE. Not even close. You do not want Roman Reigns, the heel tribal chief, acknowledge me. And isn't that weird? People still bring it up to me to this day. How we joked a couple of months ago that it almost felt like some of the people on social media, acknowledge me, damn it. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge. This is before they started doing that. Acknowledge me. Every day, acknowledge me. And they're doing that now. So going into live fans, you don't want Roman Reigns chasing for a title. You want him to have the belt and have someone else chasing it. That's why it ain't going to be no title change anytime soon. But I'm wondering if what happened tonight with Big E and another individual who made his in-ring return, not in a match, but just, ending one, is this just to buy time for the next month or two? That's what it feels like to me. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. So while they're celebrating the champions, Bianca Belair as well, Bayley jumped in the ring and insisted that Bianca Belair cheated, used her hair to get the win. She demanded Sonya Deville to strip Bianca Belair for the championship. Bianca is basically like, oh, let's go. Bayley's like, no, it's not the right time. And next thing you know, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler show up. They start beating down Bianca Belair. We got Tamina there. We got Natty there. And we go to commercial. So you know what's going to happen when we come back from commercial. We get a 6-woman tag match. And what happens? Natty gets pinned. I mean, yeah, Nia and Shayna got their ass handed to them multiple times fighting Tamina and Nia and Natty leading up to WrestleMania Backlash. But, to see all of that hype and everything and just to see Natty get pinned, I understand that was done to set up Monday's match that's going to take place on Raw. Now we got to wonder, are we going to get Alexa Bliss with the hocus pocus again? Because some people out there, Mish and I were talking about it too, we think that Alexa Bliss eventually is going to do a segment similar to what Bray Wyatt did, where she's going to be in her playground, and in the background you might see like a picture of Nia Jax with X's through the eyes. We just don't know if she's playing mind games with Nia and using Shayna as a way of getting to Nia. because that's an old mob thing. You want to fuck with someone, you don't go after them first. You go after the people that they love, because that's emotional torture. Then you whack them after. I've never done that, but we don't even know if they're going that route. So now it feels like this rematch that's going to take place on Raw is simply designed, possibly, for Alexa Bliss to cause distraction. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Harris B, what's going on, my friend? By the way, little quick shout out. Any of you out there, I know we have done this off and on in the past, but anyone that is in the chat right now, if you would like a quick shout out and to let everyone know, where you're viewing from, just all you have to do is just type your state or your country. I don't need addresses or zip codes. Just throw it quick so I could just acknowledge you. And so a couple of shout outs. Well, it's like 5-second delay. So that's why you always hear me rant for now. Okay, Tony Gloss from PA, Benjamin from Texas, Harris B from North Korea. You liar. You're a liar. Collision in Korea, I did not watch it yet. I honestly think it's going to be the lowest rating that Dark Side of the Ring has done in a while. Not that, the thing about it, and I know this is going to happen already, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Isaac Johnson from Philly, Sam from Toronto, Psycho from his house. Yeah, and I'm from my mom's uterus. Austin from Alabama, Keith Doherty from Tampa, Nico from Maryland, Harris from St. Louis. That's more like it, Harris. Big T from Mass, Neslo from DFW. Cool. Kid 420 from Texas, Dorian Mesa from Miami, Larry from Bellwood, Pennsylvania, Psycho 187 from Canada, Pancho Serrano. I don't know, that name reminds me of the Major League. What is it, Pedro Serrano? From Tijuana. Awesome. Lion from Toronto. I think Lion double blew. He double shot it. Crazy Shem from the Caribbean. Awesome. Drew from Wisconsin. One Fall from Monterey. What the fuck am I saying? Let's see. Michael Gonzalez from Parts Unknown. Dayhot from Cookie Valley. Cookie. JL from Bronx. Corey Thomas from Asbury Park. Chris Maycock from Bermuda. Awesome. Big T, we saw the Dark Side of the Ring episode. He said it was interesting. Look, I will just say this quick, and I haven't watched it yet, and I might end up being wrong. But, when I used to do This Week in Wrestling History, I did a very long segment about Collision in Korea. And I wonder how much Dark Side of the Ring set you up as far as preparing you of why WCW was in Korea. And not only the wrestling part of it, but all the other events that went down. There were travel packages that people in the United States could actually, through a travel agency, go. There was a whole week long of events. All right. So, wrestling, if you think about it, wrestling is entertainment. Wrestling is always exaggerated. Andre the Giant was 933 pounds when Hogan slammed him. Everything is always exaggerated in wrestling. When you think of all the other events that took place that week when WCW was also there, you didn't see them do their dark side, the dark side of the convention. And it wasn't that much controversy. And believe me, just like I said, when the wrestlers were stuck at the airport in Saudi Arabia, when Fox News didn't cover it, when CNN didn't cover it, when CNBC didn't cover it, but Joe Schmuck's wrestling and whatever and podcast covered it, and all these websites, but the major news sites did not cover it. You would think, wait a minute, all of these Americans stranded in Saudi Arabia against their will. I'll never forget those little videos that some of those wrestlers put online. Some of them I know were legit scared shit, and I felt bad for them, and I felt bad for their families. Because you don't fuck around in Saudi Arabia with some of those countries. You think about some of the things that have happened. But to see some of these people so inconvenienced that they were on the tarmac for 5 hours. Oh, you poor baby. You poor baby. It was 150 degrees out. And if you were thirsty, you had to drink your own sweat. They were inconvenienced. They weren't held against. They were inconvenienced for a half a day. Whoop-de-fucking-do. They got paid comfortably. None of these major news sites covered it. That should tell you something. None of these major news sites covered any controversy with WCW in Korea. Even when they came back, there was no Entertainment Tonight doing interviews with. So, things are always exaggerated. Because who's going to tell them wrong? Kim Jong-un? My dad say you full of shit. Nobody's going to challenge them, so they're going to exaggerate it. They're going to exaggerate it. You walk down the street, you gave one person, you look at them the wrong way, and they gave you a dirty look. The next thing you know, a whole posse did it. It's exaggerated. But I'm going to still check it out. Something tells me I'm going to be like, yeah. Just like Brawl for It All. Brawl for It All, yeah, maybe a nice idea on paper. Injuries were not expected. But I always tell everyone out there, I've been defending Brawl for All. I always add the it word to it. I defended Brawl for All since it first aired. I've always defended it. And I always tell everyone out there, when you go back and you watch Bart Gunn knock out JBL, listen to the crowd, listen to Shawn Michaels' commentary reacting to it. That fucking crowd popped big. So, sure, if you're going to say to me, all the injuries, that was the dumbest thing at all, well, then why would you do fucking Hell in a Cell? Why would you do matches where people are jumping off of cages and scaffolds and doing these giant dives through tables and this and that? You do a concept and people get hurt from it, then all of a sudden it becomes a dark side of the bullshit episode. But if you do a crazy concept and people don't really get injured, then, it's one of the best gimmicks of all time. There is so much risk in a lot of things that you see out there. Brawl for All, obviously, they weren't prepared to see, but this was all optional. I'm sorry. If I have a dog that I'm going to put in a dog contest and I have the possibility of winning $1 million, whatever it is, it's a big fucking deal. And my dog has like perfect nails and the hair is groomed perfectly and there's no signs of drool in the eyes and this and that, and everything is perfect. I don't care what kind of concept I come up with. I'm not going to turn around and tell my dog, go in the alley and go get yourself laid for the next week or two. And when the dog comes back and the hair looks like Don King and is like goo all over the place and the dog looks all like this, whose fault was that? I put them in that position. How's about Vince McMahon? How's about the wrestlers? Hey, I could do that. Oh, you got injured. Well, I shouldn't have done that. It's dark side of the decisions. So, Ed Vary, what's going on? Oh, man, you guys are nuts. They got a couple of funny comments on some of the other. I have it streaming on Facebook and Twitter today because not everybody goes on YouTube. SoFlyBmOrE. This actually was, I think, yesterday. But I thank you again, my brother. Much love as always. Phillip Maffei, he is happy WWE is going to have fans again. He's so excited. We're getting back to normal. And he got his second COVID shot today. So good luck, my friend. Take it easy. Hopefully you took some Tylenol. Even if you feel good right now, if you didn't take Tylenol yet, pop a Tylenol or two. Because that will help appease the headache if it comes. If you get a little bit of chills or a little body ache, don't worry. That's your body doing what it's supposed to. Trust me. I think you'll be fine. So good for you, man. Good for you. SoFly got his wisdom teeth removed today. So he's hungry and he can't eat anything solid. Stay away from ice cream or anything cold. That will hurt. I don't know if you're into yogurt. Yogurt is good. Applesauce. Cinnamon applesauce. Oh, I'm dying for that. I haven't had applesauce in 2 years because I'm on keto. So take it easy, my friend. Hey, you know what? If you sip something, maybe if you sip it through a straw, because now I'm starting to bleach my teeth. I do it every year. And at night, I can't drink anything. And I'm one of those that'll drink 2 of these overnight. So I grab a straw and I drink it through the straw. So this way it doesn't take all of that whitening stuff off of it. So, but good luck to you. And Ed Vary just wanted to stop by and say hello. So much love, Ed. Hope you have a great weekend. And I thank you as always for the support. So let's get back to SmackDown. Then we'll get into ratings. Very interesting this week. Very interesting. So Bayley hit the ring. They get into that confrontation. As we said earlier, it led to the 6-women tag match. And then what ends up happening, Natalya submits to the Kirifuda clutch. No Reginald in appearance, but they announce Monday we get the rematch, Nia and Shayna versus Natty and Tamina. And as we said earlier, I expect a very good chance Alexa Bliss with some hocus pocus that makes no sensos that will cause something to happen. They have to get some clarity with this. They got to get some clarity. Alistair Black, which felt like the final chapter. Did any of you, when you saw him talking about the book again, that, you know, it felt like this was the final chapter? Because suddenly he's ripping off the clothes and he's yelling and he's at the top of his lungs. All we were missing was fight me. It felt like this was the final segment in the series. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we get Alistair Black returning to the ring next week. Did not expect what would happen later on. King Corbin hits the ring. He wants his crown back. But before he gets his crown, he'll have it sanitized, cleaned before he wears it. And then we got Shinsuke came out. And as I said earlier, making his debut on SmackDown. You know, I enjoyed it, man. You know, some people call him Eric Bugats, Rick, Eric Bugenhagen, I believe is his real name. And look, again, I don't want to repeat what I said earlier, but if you spend a few moments on his Twitter, look at some of the clips he did in April, in May, or earlier this month. The guy's got some extreme charisma, and he is hilarious. And the funny thing is, you see this, and you say to yourself, how come this guy wasn't featured a whole lot more in NXT? I mean, this is very interesting when you think about it. Yes, 24/7 champion. Yes, a couple of skits with commercials and a little interaction with Akira Tozawa. But this is someone that you would have thought would have had a little bit more exposure in NXT before going to the main roster. And he made his SmackDown debut, nailing it with the guitar, and Shinsuke getting the win. The fruit roll-up. Shinsuke gets the win. I'm still convinced they're going to do a SmackDown version of King of the Ring. The crown might be part of it, but I think that's where this may ultimately go. You're going to see a lot of themed SmackDowns and even some Raws this year simply to just generate more interest, more ticket buys. You know, just getting back to normal life a little bit more is going to be enough for a lot of people out there. You know, it was a fun match, but again, the fruit roll-up, it doesn't feel like Nakamura is on any momentum whatsoever. You know, I will tell you this. I am really starting to enjoy Pat McAfee doing the commentary. I mean, I wanted to mention this when I did the WrestleMania Backlash recap, and I forgot to do it. And I was reminded of it tonight when I saw, you know, when Nakamura came out for his match. Pat McAfee is very animated. And I noticed even in the main event, Roman Reigns versus Cesaro, if you look at the corner of your screen, Pat McAfee gets out of his chair and he is yelling energetic and he's out of his seat. The camera was not intended to be on him. So you know he wasn't doing that for the camera. This guy gets so into it like a fan that he just lets himself go a little bit more, and WWE allows it. And Mish brought this up last week, that it feels like Pat McAfee is forcing Michael Cole to be a little bit more energetic, and even today, Pat McAfee is technically, on the heel side, and he's rocking to Nakamura's theme and Eric just doing it on the guitar. And he's up and he's going like this and he's pushing Michael Cole. And Michael Cole is like, you feel that energy. And I'm really enjoying it. Seriously. Yeah, Lee brings this out too. A lot of times you see Pat McAfee's not even looking at the monitor. I mean, the guy is coming off as a natural with this. And yeah, I know it sounds a little unfair to compare him to Adnan Virk, but when WWE decides to debut them both at the same time, the comparisons will always be there. And when I hear Virk, I ask myself, why is this guy needed? Why can't Saxton and Graves just be a two-man team? I don't know what his purpose is. I know what it is. They wanted a legit sports guy, to have a little bit more of the straight presence when he recaps and this and that. The problem is, Virk, with all due respect, sounds like a goof when he mentions the nicknames for wrestlers. And it just sounds so forced, like he's reading a paper, like, here is the ace of spades. Here is the... And even when you pay attention Monday, when he talks about Charlotte and all the nicknames that he gives, it feels like he's reading a paper. There's no charisma about it whatsoever. Like, you wouldn't even talk about that. Who is the guy from ESPN? I can't remember his name. He's still around. He does car warranty commercials now. I mean, people know him the most when he would go, back, out of here. Who was that guy? I can't remember his name right now. But every time they would do ESPN Sports Center, he would throw a nickname to everything. Not Keith Olbermann, that's not him. The other guy, Chris Berman. Thank you, Dorian. Chris Berman. That guy would have nicknames for everyone. And it was just so natural. And, Virk is trying to do that. And it sounds awful. I'll be honest with you. I'm willing to give the guy more time, but it would not surprise me if we see a switch within the next 6 months. I don't know. It just does not feel like it's gluing. And Pat McAfee, I think they knew what they were getting with him. I think we all knew what we were getting with him. And the guy being a legit wrestling fan on top of it, I mean, there's so much old school with him. And I'm really enjoying Pat McAfee's work. What's going on, Garland? Garland Pollard. What's up, my brother? So, Jimmy Uso approaches Sonya Deville. Wants a match next week against the Street Profits. Sonya says no problem. For some reason, Jimmy Uso has to get permission from Roman Reigns to wrestle in a tag match. Jey Uso has to check with the tribal chief. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, it's a tag team match. Why would Roman Reigns not want to see the Street Profits get their ass kicked? I don't like this part of the storyline right now. I mean, I get what it is. Roman Reigns is trying to brainwash Jey Uso that Jimmy is not looking out for the family and is trying to convince Jey Uso that Jimmy Uso, no, it's wrong. Do not do it. It's a mistake. Do not do it. You and I. And I don't know how I feel about this. Because in the end, obviously, Jey Uso will walk out on Roman Reigns. I don't know if I want Jimmy Uso to turn heel also and be going Roman Reigns' camp. And I also don't want this soap opera where it's like they're fighting for someone's, what? Love, approval? I mean, Jimmy Uso's telling Jey Uso, let's be tag champs again. Why would Roman Reigns be against that? Why wouldn't the tribal chief, the family? Because Roman wants everything for himself, obviously. I don't know how that's going to play out on TV. I really don't. Obviously, they got 2 months to mess around with it before you get live fans in attendance. I think I said last week that I think the Usos will be the ones to dethrone Rey and Dominik Mysterio. But how does this come across? I mean, does Jimmy Uso go out there and fight the match himself? I don't know. I like Jimmy's shirt. It's actually growing on me a little bit. Speaking of shirts, I got to find out where Seth Rollins got this jacket. I got to find out. Taking a little drink. You see here a little silence. Seth Rollins, I'm loving his wardrobe. Very creative attire. I know some people absolutely can't stand it. I think it's great. I think it's freaking great. It's not a thrift store, Keith. There's an artist out there that makes these colorful skull blazers. I haven't been able to match that one up, and I know it's going to happen. If I go, look, I'm one that supports Seth Rollins. You know, I'm one of the lucky few that's never been blocked by him or anything like that. I mean, honestly, I don't care if people block me or not. But I seriously doubt, you know, if I ask him, look, at least Matt Hardy told me. Remember when I wanted that leather jacket that Matt Hardy had? Right before he was gone from WWE, he wore that brown leather bomber on TV. And I was like, damn, I love that jacket. I want that jacket. And sure enough, like 2 weeks later, we go to the big event in New York, in Queens. And I'm there with Mish and a few others, Shaheen and others, and got to hang out with Matt Hardy for a little bit. And after the thing is over, Mish is like, did you ask him about the jacket? I'm like, fuck, he had the jacket on. So then I sent a DM and I got the answer. I don't have the name in front of me. I haven't looked up the jacket because, you know, other things have been going on. But I want to find out where Seth Rollins got that blazer. If it's not one of these like $5,000 deals, if it's something on the cheap, I would seriously consider getting one. I would wear it just for laughs on the show. I like Seth Rollins' creativity. It's supposed to trigger people. So anyway, the Usos versus the Street Profits next week. And yeah, as of right now, it feels like Jimmy Uso will wrestle by himself. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Paul Heyman come out. Paul Heyman starts reading down the list of everybody that Roman Reigns has beaten up and destroyed. Talking about Edge not coming back. Daniel Bryan is enjoying his Bella retirement, which is pretty funny. They're going down the list. And Cesaro's music hits. Cesaro wants a rematch against Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. And Roman Reigns thinks he's nuts. But before anything could happen, Seth Rollins beats the balls off of Cesaro. Cesaro came out, arm in a sling, kind of under the jacket. You could tell that he was trying to sell the injury. Seth Rollins beats Cesaro to a pulp. Taken out on a stretcher. I'm sorry for doing this. Didn't take allergy medicine today, and I'm feeling it. It might be the dust coming out of the air conditioner as well. But Seth Rollins leaves him laying. Taken out on a stretcher. And then Seth Rollins being interviewed in the back. Seth says he blacked out. He don't know why he did that. And then Cesaro was wheeled by and he's like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you forcing me to do this? And Seth Rollins for a moment sounded like he almost was going to cry. And we've talked about that before. You get so much emotion that for some reason you start crying even though you're not sad. But I'm still convinced. You and I talked about it last week. I'm still convinced that the more likely match is Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell. I don't mean the pay-per-view. I mean Hell in a Cell. So we'll see what happens. Dominik beating Robert Roode. Not much there. I mean, they showed highlights from the pay-per-view. They showed clips of Aaliyah and Angie, the potted plant, watching this. And I'm happy for them. I mean, that's legit happiness. I mean, father and son becoming tag team champions. That's history. And you look back. I mean, obviously it makes us feel old when Dominik was just a little kid and on the pole, Uncle Eddie. And then to see him now a tag team champion. Guy has busted his ass enough where you know the guy earned it. But Robert Roode. We had a long conversation last week. I think it was on Thursday show last week that Robert Roode, I don't know. It does not feel like WWE is interested in giving him a singles run. He's there to help elevate some of the younger stars of tomorrow. And he lost to Dominik today. Dominik with the 619 and the frog splash. Robert Roode loses. So, we'll see where it goes from here. But again, I'm still feeling Usos versus Rey and Dominik for those tag titles. I think it's only a matter of time. Just checking out the wall, seeing what's going on. Shout out to everybody. Not just YouTube, but on Facebook and Twitter. And I'm checking out some of the other comments. So everybody's chilling tonight, it looks like. So good. Glad everybody's having a good weekend. So much love as always. Bobby Roode's from Sam's hometown. Okay. Yeah, I brought this up once before. I watched Bobby Roode wrestle in person one time at a local show. This was very early in his career. And we were all impressed with the guy. I mean, obviously we didn't know what to expect, down the line. But the guy was freaking phenomenal. And then he would ultimately go to NWA TNA, and the rest is history. But I think at this point right now, I don't think Robert Roode, it just does not feel that there's any plans for any type of momentum with him in the future. And look, at the same time, now all of a sudden, Chad, Gable, and Otis, now you feel like there's nothing going on with those two. I don't know. It just feels like that tag team division needs a boost somewhere, and Usos may be the ones to do it. I just don't know. I mean, we all thought that something may happen at Hell in a Cell with Jimmy Uso, and little did we know that they were going to have WrestleMania Backlash. They were going to have WrestleMania Backlash be the one night where Roman Reigns wins completely clean. I mean, to me, that sended a big message to people out there that, we have no interest in elevating Cesaro in any way, shape, or form. That's how it feels like right now. I hate to say it, but I think in the end, we all know this is just buying time. I think between now and July is really, and if you remember last week, I said it on 2 different shows, I am convinced that Hell in a Cell was moved up because Hell in a Cell for 2021 will be WrestleMania. In the sense that usually, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but WrestleMania is where a lot of storylines end, where some matchups take a different twist and turn, new feuds start. It's usually the Raw after WrestleMania and the SmackDown after WrestleMania. This year, we got the Street Profits return. And that was pretty much it for the most part. So I think now, once they realize, okay, July is probably where we're going to have live fans in attendance, let's not blow our load with Becky Lynch returning in May. Let's not blow our load possibly with Brock Lesnar making a return. Let's not shake everything up with the rosters just yet. Let's milk some extra time, and Hell in a Cell will be technically the WrestleMania for this year. The night after Hell in a Cell probably is where we see some shifts and twists and turns. The SmackDown after Hell in a Cell, that's when we're going to see some changes. And I think that is really, you're going to see that momentum. And I don't think that'll remain every year. I think next year Hell in a Cell will probably go back to around October like they've done before. But it was sped up because Hell in a Cell is probably the one pay-per-view that you could do live without fans. Get very creative with it. And logistics, it's a lot easier too. So we'll see what happens. Fatal 4-Way, Apollo Crews retains his Intercontinental Championship, defeating Big E, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. Match was excellent. Honestly, I didn't like the finish at all, especially when you think about the 3 chapters that a certain someone was reading out of a book leading up to this. Belair basically what happened towards the end of the match. And there was something else. It's not a big deal, but I don't know if any of you caught it. Towards the very end of the match, Kevin Owens was outside of the ring. And I think he rolled Apollo Crews back in the ring. Kevin Owens climbs the side of the ring, the ramp, the ring padding, and the apron, and he's about to climb into the ring, and then he jumps off. And I originally thought that maybe Sami Zayn pulled him back down, but it looked like Sami Zayn was like 6 feet away from him. So, I don't know, it just didn't look right on TV, but then Sami Zayn just drops Kevin Owens and looked like on his head. I know he wasn't injured, but it looked great. That spot looked great on TV. But then the next thing you know, you got Apollo in the ring. He's going at it with Big E. Big E nails Sami Zayn. He nails Apollo. And, we're now thinking suspension of disbelief that maybe Big E has a legitimate shot of winning this thing. And the next thing you know, we see this cloud of smoke. Had no idea what to expect, but we see someone come out with a hood, and it's quickly revealed to be Alistair Black. Alistair Black takes the jacket off, goes into the ring, and hits Black Mass on Big E. And then Apollo Crews just pins Big E. Alistair Black walks off. I honestly don't know how I feel about that. I mean, we all knew that Apollo Crews was not losing his title tonight, but it just felt so generic that Alistair Black, just out of nowhere just decides to cause Big E the win. He wasn't helping Apollo Crews. He wasn't helping anybody. Why single out Big E? So, I don't know. SoFly says that the chat room has entertained him more tonight than anywhere else. So, thank you for that. Much love. Shout out to everybody who's live right now. I appreciate the support more than you could ever imagine. The main event was phenomenal. It was fun. But Alistair Black interfering at the very end felt so random. It felt so random. And Apollo Crews retains, and we go off the air. So, no, Darren, it has nothing to do with skin tone or anything like that. I mean, Alistair Black versus Big E just feels like a random feud right now. And again, I think the next 2 months, you're going to see some random shit just to buy time. When you see live fan, it's funny that people out there that don't understand finance. I'm not saying any of you out there, but some people out there are like, oh, WWE did record profits last year. Why do they need to go back to live fans? I mean, just think of that comment coming out of legit people's brains. The amount of money that they're going to bank going back on the road, they're an entertainment company. And you need wrestlers to be on the road. My God, they need to perform in front of live fans. You pay attention to any wrestler online. I told you before WrestleMania that you were going to have grown men crying that wrestle for WWE just for the fact that they're back in front of live fans. Wrestling is all about performing in front of live fans, with the exception of apartment wrestling back in the 80s. And I know some women still do it, but they'll fight in an apartment and sell it on video. But for the most part, wrestling is meant to be performed in front of fans, just like concerts are meant to be performed in front of fans. You have a concert filmed in front of LED screens for home video release. It's forms of entertainment. Basketball players, baseball players, they feed off of fans. So this is a huge deal. And I can't wait. I can't wait the closer we get to it. Because even though AEW is going to have live fans sooner, but the closer we get, it's only a matter of time. I know they're trying to use July 4th to be political, but July 4th, 2021, our president is likely going to go out on TV and say that July 4th, 1776, we won our independence. July 4th, 2021, I'm proud to say that we have won the war against COVID, and the pandemic is officially over. The virus will still be here for a few years, obviously, but I think they're gunning for that July 4th date because of independence. So we get to July, August, man, it's going to feel just for all of us, every single one of you, even if you're not that much into wrestling anymore, just being able to go out with your friends, go to a store, go to a coffee shop, go to a pizzeria, go to a baseball game, go to the beach, go to a club, go to a bar, hang out with your family somewhere, go to a movie. You know, all these little things are a big deal. You know, Joshua doesn't like when I talk some real talk for a minute or two. He wants me to just talk about Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. The tribal chief. So anyway, you want to talk about ratings? Let's talk about ratings. NXT, AEW. I am going to upload my rant from yesterday about how much these over-the-top AEW fans, and I'm not talking about casual fans, I'm talking about these people that do shows, blogs, have big audiences. These people over the top, unbelievable, everything every week is unbelievable, epic, amazing, unreal, I'm melting. People got a kick out of it. Just go on Twitter and just type in AEW melting, and you'll see people writing like, I'm melting right now. I'm so joyed, I feel like crying right now. What's wrong with you? Seriously. I mean, I could see if you're there and one of your personal friends just like won something big and you get choked up. You see somebody return from injury from the ring, and it's like, oh, I'm so excited, I feel like crying. But yet they didn't cry when Christian was in the Royal Rumble not too long before. Those people are hurting AEW more than they can imagine because they think 836,000 viewers, 821,000 viewers, whatever it was a big disappointment. Their average was going to be between 8 and 900,000. It's just because they did the 1.3 million, everybody thought, oh my God, it's bigger than I expected. And they thought it was going to stay there. And now they have to make excuses for everything. Me, I thought the rating was fine. Others out there, extreme concern or finding excuses. So, yeah, let's melt together. Seriously, let's melt together. So I'm going to give you the ratings breakdown for both shows. Then we'll call it a night. I think some of this will surprise some of you out there. Let's talk about NXT first. I will tell you one thing also. Something this week that is pretty fabulous with both shows. Hour 1 and Hour 2 were almost identical in their ratings. The quarter-hour shifts were pretty substantial in some cases, but there was no big influx of viewers like between Hour 1 and Hour 2. If you ever look at the Raw rating, Hour 1 is like the biggest number, and then Hour 2 goes down, and Hour 3 goes down substantially more. Not this week for AEW and NXT. So without further ado, NXT, Hour 1, 695,000 viewers. Hour 2, 705,000 viewers for a composite of 700,000. Opening quarter, Zoe Stark and Toni Storm. Their match did very disappointed. Only 652,000 viewers. I enjoyed that match. I loved the modified brainbuster that Toni Storm did. Hopefully that just was not a botch. Hopefully it wasn't a botch, because I would love to see her continue to do that move, but it only did 652. Which is a tremendous disappointment in my view. Quarter 2, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell at the spa, and that great video package hyping up Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor 2. That quarter hour increased only 22,000 viewers to 674,000. Cameron Grimes versus Jake Atlas. As I've said before, every segment he has done outside of the ring, since they've done this rich gimmick, every time they've done a segment, the ratings have gone down. But when he's in the ring, the ratings are not bad. This week reflects the same. That quarter hour increased 54,000 viewers to 728,000. Did better than the average. Quarter 4, Pete Dunne's interview with Arash Markazi. Killian Dane versus Alexander Wolf. The beatdown afterwards. And then the interview with Raquel Gonzalez in the back to start planting the seed that we may have a split between Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. That quarter hour dropped. Just a drop. 3,000 viewers to 725,000. My favorite match of the night, Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher versus Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. That quarter hour increased 34,000 viewers to 759,000, biggest quarter of the entire night. And it felt that way. Ciampa looked like he was having fun. And it comes across on the TV. It looked like Ciampa was having a ball. And it was fun to watch that match. Quarter 6, Bobby Fish's interview in the back. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, that final segment where at the spa, he loves me. Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory's interview. Aaliyah versus Saray. That quarter hour dropped 37,000 viewers to 722,000. Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon cutting a promo. Top Dollar and Ashante Adonis versus Daivari and Tony Nese. That quarter hour dropped 73,000 viewers to 649,000. A little surprised at that. And in the main event, along with that little promo that William Regal did right before the main event, Johnny Gargano versus Bronson Reed in a cage. That quarter hour increased 42,000 viewers to 691. So, not very good for NXT this week. We'll see what happens next week. I kind of feel they have to have a nice little increase. And maybe it'll go up to like 760, 770. I mean, a 10% increase is not asking much. And, but I'll tell you, doesn't feel like there's a lot of excitement for Balor versus Cross. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but, you look at these quarter hours with Balor. I remember it was him versus Adam Cole, him versus, I think, Kyle O'Reilly, the rematch or something. And those quarter hours were not great either. I don't know what it is with Finn Balor. Maybe their insistence on not bringing back the Demon. But, as I told someone earlier today, I don't expect the Demon to come back because why would you bring back the Demon character just to have him lose? Finn Balor's not winning the title back right now. So it makes no sense to bring back the Demon character right now. And I'm still convinced what I said yesterday. If they bring a veteran into NXT for me to Raw or SmackDown, whether it's Edge or Daniel Bryan or someone else, if they bring a veteran there trying to reclaim their glory, and I think some of those matches are so creative, I think it would generate so much more interest. It's inspiration. It's a storyline inside a storyline. We all get to an age where we want to do something and we just feel like we can in here, but physically we can't. You see that happen with older baseball players, football, basketball, wrestling. I think if you bring a veteran into NXT trying to reclaim their glory and they could still go and you have them feud with it, I think that would really get more eyes on the product and not just the 50 and over demographic. So just an opinion. So now we go to AEW. Very interesting. Hour 1, 821,000 viewers. Hour 2, 821,000 viewers. For a composite of 821,000 viewers. Some of these quarter hours are going to surprise you. Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal. And then the aftermatch nonsense with Taz's son from Green Hook, New York. That opening quarter only did 844,000 viewers. Slightly above the overall average, but still nowhere near the 1.1, 1.2 they were doing for some openings. Quarter 2, the Varsity Blondes, their interview with Julia Hart. Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley cutting a promo. That quarter hour, along with the very beginning, the Acclaim's rap on Moxley and Kingston. That second quarter dropped 33,000 viewers to 811,000. If you thought that the match between the Acclaimed versus Moxley and Kingston would generate viewers as the match progressed, you were wrong. That match, along with Chris Jericho's backstage promo with Dean Malenko and Alex Marvez, and then Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, their promo with Sting and Darby Allin to set up the match for Double or Nothing, that quarter hour dropped 10,000 viewers to 801,000. That's very telling. Moxley, Kingston, Sting, Darby Allin. Between those two quarters, they dropped both. Quarter number 4, The Pinnacle, dining at the restaurant. Hikaru Shida versus Rebel, not Reba. And like I say, she writes on the banner, Rebel, not Reba. It should be worse, not bad. Her match against Hikaru Shida, Kenny Omega with Don Callis and Orange Cassidy, the footage from last week, that quarter hour increased 32,000 viewers to 833,000. Quarter number 5, the in-ring segment with the Inner Circle, agreeing to the stipulations for Stadium Stampede 2, that quarter hour increased 32,000 viewers to 865,000, Serena Deeb versus Red Velvet, Anthony Ogogo versus Austin Gunn, and that little backstage interview with Kazarian and Daniels, that quarter hour dropped 54,000 viewers to 811,000. The next quarter surprises me. They just had a 54,000 viewer drop. Quarter 7, Miro in the ring, cutting his promo, leading to the confrontation with Lance Archer, hyping up for Double or Nothing. In the very beginning, the intros for the Varsity Blondes versus the Young Bucks, that quarter hour dropped 53,000 viewers to 758,000. Those two quarters themselves ended up dropping over 100,000 viewers. But they would get most of them back. The final quarter of the night, the Young Bucks defending the AEW Tag Team Championships versus the Varsity Blondes. That quarter hour increased 90,000 viewers to 848,000. So if you notice, no quarter hour ended up having 900,000 viewers. Not one. We only had one quarter hour in the 7s, which was the quarter hour with Miro and Lance Archer, which surprises me. Because right now, other than Stadium Stampede 2, Archer versus Miro is the one match that I'm kind of looking forward to the most. I just want it to be an absolute brawl, end in a double disqualification, double count out, whatever you want to do. Let them just beat the balls off each other and let that feud continue. But I'm very surprised at these numbers. Not one quarter got anywhere close to 900,000 viewers. So very interesting, very interesting. So that was your ratings for both. And as we talked about yesterday, Impact only did 111,000. And nobody wants to report it. You see that? Nobody wants to report it. Like one place, I think, reported it since then. 111,000. How do you like Kenny Omega's The Impact Wrestling Everywhere? Oh, and by the way, you want to see how the stupidity continues? I'll leave you with this before I get out of here. We got a couple of super chats to get into also. But Moose, just to show you the stupidity, okay? I'm going to bring up Don Callis first, then I'll bring up Moose with stupidity. Don Callis, as we talked about yesterday, is no longer in the management for Impact Wrestling. In fact, a lot of people think that he is going to exit from Impact Wrestling and ultimately work full-time in AEW, which would be a great thing. I would love it. Now, we find out on Meltzer's show, we find out that they wanted Don Callis, his storyline on TV to reflect reality, where because Don Callis is having Kenny Omega in Impact Wrestling, has their title, and Don Callis has been featured in AEW, that they were going to continue the storyline, I guess, where Don Callis would be fired from Impact Wrestling. And then you would hear that he was also let go of his duties in the executive department, trying to play reality on both. Problem is, somebody let the cat out of the bag early, that Don Callis is no longer in the executive division in Impact. So now they are not, the cat's out of the bag. So now they're not even going with that anymore. So now you would think, because somebody brought that shit up early, that you don't make the same mistake twice. The same mistake happened again today. This is just opinion, but I think a lot of you will agree with me on this. Moose, he's going to take on Kenny Omega for this championship and probably win it, get away from this storyline as quickly as possible. And Moose, his contract was expiring in June. So what does this guy do? And I'm not faulting Moose all that much, but you'll see exactly where I'm going with this. He teased a couple of days ago that he may show up at Double or Nothing and get involved in that main event with Kenny Omega versus Pac and Orange Cassidy. First of all, I would think that Moose has to clear with Impact Wrestling any tweets that any wrestlers do to try to enhance storylines. Soon as I read that tweet, I thought of the god-awful way Impact handled this whole Omega storyline since day one. When Omega showed up in Impact and they fucked with Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns and everything like that, the immediate common sense storyline is that they should have showed Rich Swann or some people in Impact trying to hit the ring on Dynamite, try to do something, security pulls them away, and it feels like Impact Wrestling's trying to invade AEW. How does it feel as a fan that for 6 months, 5 months, whatever it was, 4 months, that they hyped up Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann, and never once did Rich Swann ever show up at Daly's place, try to get revenge on Kenny Omega? Nobody from Impact Wrestling, Scott D'Amore, nobody. Nobody. What's the matter? They all have warrants for their arrest in Florida. Nobody shows up. That storyline looked like, and again, I don't work for them, but we view it as wrestling fans. Us wrestling fans, how we view it is the most important aspect to it, because if fans hate it, that hurts them. So they never show up at all. And that's why the ratings have sucked. So now Moose makes the threat a couple of days ago that he might show up at Double or Nothing. You don't learn your fucking lesson with Rich Swann and nobody showing up at Daly's place? That, if he doesn't show up, it just makes Impact look 1,000. And you don't want to screw up Moose's momentum right now. If Moose does the Rich Swann, and that's not a dance. If he does the Rich Swann and doesn't show up, makes Moose look like a goof. Empty fucking threats. Anybody on Twitter can make a threat, and they don't show up. Now, when I said earlier, how do they make the same mistake twice? Moose's contract expires in June. Moose teases showing up at AEW. Moose, yesterday or the day before, teased about going to NXT, that his contract is coming up, and he's curious who his next opponent would be, and when he spelled next, he capitalized NXT. What happened today? We found out that Moose signed a new contract with Impact Wrestling. How do you tease this guy possibly being a free agent, showing up at NXT, and then reveal that he signs a new contract? Why are they so stupid? And I like Scott D'Amore, and I'm rooting for him, and I'm an Impact Wrestling fan, and I want to see them do better. How do you do that shit? I mean, come on. Any of us right now, any of you in the chat room or me, we could drink a case of Old English. We could take 1,000 milligrams of melatonin, be almost half unconscious, just overdose on catnip, and we probably could still write more common sense. How does someone not saying a Moose, fucking tease going to AEW? We're not having you show up over there. Don't tease that you might show up in NXT. And then everybody reveals he signed the fucking contract. How do you do that? So how much lower do the ratings have to go before they start realizing, maybe the writing, maybe the decision-making. I still don't know if Don Callis' exit in the executive department has anything to do with his input with this idea of AEW invading Impact Wrestling. Because to me, I honestly feel this is worse than Global Force Wrestling. Because Global Force Wrestling, it just felt like, Jeff Jarrett trying to get a little publicity for GFW and teasing a storyline that they're going up against, Dixie Carter and TNA, and you knew what the outcome was going to be. But at least we got to see a few wrestlers we didn't normally see in Impact Wrestling. But here, you have Kenny Omega, who I still think is going to be Wrestler of the Year for 2021, and AEW pulls in 7, 8, 900,000, 1 million viewers, and AEW fans they don't care enough to see their own champion on Impact Wrestling. What is Kenny Omega going to do? So I got to check it out. I got to watch it. Nothing. And plus, the wrestlers that are there, because they got a crazy level of talented wrestlers. They really have a decent roster of wrestlers. Obviously, their roster is small right now because they don't have live fans back yet, and they're not touring yet. So you will see additional names get signed to Impact Wrestling. But even Morrissey, former Big Cass, somebody does an interview with him, and they ask him, how long is your contract with Impact Wrestling? Oh, it's very short. Why even reveal things like that? You know what I mean? It's like, if you feel like someone is not going to be there for any extended period of time, why would you get behind the person? I mean, it's nice to see Big Cass back on TV, especially the emotional struggle that he's had. I don't think some people out there truly understand how much this man battled psychologically. It's a pretty amazing story if you read into it. So I'm extremely happy for this guy to be back on TV. But you want to invest in the talents there. And man, this whole 4 months with Schwann and everybody else doing nothing, that's just ridiculous. I mean, not even once. So anyway, with that said, couple of super chats I would like to get into, if you don't mind, before I get out of here. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to La Nostra Famiglia, my great family, over on YouTube's channel memberships. If you want to explore that, look, I don't plug it all that much here, and I don't do it as a money grab. I always put things back in the shows, but you could join for as little as $1.99. We do a pay-per-view contest once a month. We do Q&As every week now. You get those emojis. For everybody who's green on the screen, you get all like emojis. The more people that sign up, the more emojis, custom emojis we can have. And, a few other things. I post some private stuff here and there. So big shout out to them. Also, big shout out to my other channel members on YouTube. So we have a nice little family there. So I definitely thank you all for the support. Much love as always. But I'd like to answer a few super chats before we get out of here. I know somebody mentioned Don Kernoodle as well. What school did you go to? The shirt finally came. Very cool. Aren't I happy that WWE did away with that dumb rule where during commercial breaks, no matches can happen? Oh, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us forget how horrible that was, where they were doing like introductions to matches, and then how many matches ended in like 2 minutes? Then you'd go to a commercial break and then the matches restarted. I remember that one with AJ Styles. AJ Styles was facing someone, and then there was some bullshit finish after a minute. You go to commercial, we come back, we got AJ Styles, Gallows, and Anderson against 3 people. I don't know who came up with that, But I got to be honest with you. COVID or no COVID, ratings, good ratings, bad ratings, whoever came up with that has got to be one of the dumbest creative decisions that I can honestly ever remember. I mean, look, we've had some dumb storylines over the years and some god-awful, pathetic ones. But for someone to think that no matches during commercials and have clusterfuck after clusterfuck after clusterfuck and then have matches end and then restart with three-way, 2 out of 3. Remember how many 2 out of 3 falls matches we would get? Whoever really made, I would love to know who made that decision. Whoever came up with that originally, I mean, I can't understand how people didn't just start laughing. That it was just the execution on TV. After week 1, they should have been like, oh, fuck this. This is nuts. So, yeah, and I am so happy that is gone. So happy. Mason Clark, rest in peace, Don Kernoodle. Guys, I heard from a couple of people that Don Kernoodle committed suicide. You know if that's true? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I haven't looked into it. Don Kernoodle was not one of those that I really was into as a kid because I was more a WWF guy because of East Coast. But a few people had said, man, Kernoodle killed himself. And I'm like, no, are you serious? Like, I didn't hear of anything with him with bad illness, but damn, a few people said that he committed suicide. Now, like I said, I don't know if it's true. And I'm not going to report it one way or the other, but a few people that I trust, that don't know each other said the same thing, that they heard that it might have been suicide. I don't know. I mean, I'll look into it, but man, that's just sad. I will tell you this. Him teaming with Sergeant Slaughter was my favorite part of his work. I know, when he did the work with Nikita Koloff, I think he did it with Ivan Koloff as well. Big America, anti-America. I mean, there was some good stuff as well. Don Kernoodle was never a big popular wrestler here in the Northeast. Carolinas, absolutely. As weird as this sounds, Mason, my biggest memory of Don Kernoodle, other than the cage match with him and Slaughter versus Ricky and Jay Youngblood, my biggest memory of Don Kernoodle, only because Magnificent Morocco and Jimmy Snuka was my favorite feud of all time. Morocco is my second favorite wrestler of all time. In fact, I wrote on Twitter earlier today, Morocco has a podcast now, and he has a YouTube channel. So I watched some of it earlier today. I already subscribed, and I am so looking forward. I'm telling you, if I do interviews in the near future, I got to bring that guy on. I, for the life of me, do not understand why Morocco does not get more love from the WWE over the years. They never, rarely ever mention it. They might mention his name once every 5 or 10 years. But the reason why I always remember Kernoodle was because of the Jimmy Snuka Magnificent Morocco feud. After Morocco was in Buddy Rogers' corner, and Snuka came out, interrupted, and then Morocco and Snuka, had whatever they had. Snuka was supposed to face Don Kernoodle. Supposed to face Don Kernoodle. And I think it might have even been with Buddy Rogers' corner as well. And Snuka came out for his match. And the next thing you know, he went at it with Magnificent Morocco, and I think we had the big red X and all that. But Snuka was supposed to face Don Kernoodle that day. And I always remembered it because of that. Because, I was never a big fan of Kernoodle. But then again, here in the Northeast in New York, we never really got exposed to too much Don Kernoodle. Even when he came to the WWF, they really didn't do right with him. He was more of just enhancement talent, unfortunately. Garden, they gave him a little bit of push, but as far as regular TV goes, he got some wins here and there, but never faced anybody really noteworthy that I could recall. But Kernoodle was supposed to fight Snuka. Obviously, that match didn't happen at the time. I think they had the match a few weeks later, but that's how I always will remember Kernoodle, because he was supposed to have the match with Snuka. But I'm going to look into it. I have not seen any comments from Slaughter. I know him and Slaughter used to be close. I don't know if they were still close. Maybe Slaughter did make some words and I just haven't come across it. But I heard the S word with Kernoodle. I hope it's not true. But if it is, it's sad, because you don't know what led to that point. You don't know if it was health, if it was relationship, if it was lonely. There's finances, could be anything. And that's why, like I say, even on social media, like I will always generalize what I complain about social media. Oh my God, did you hear that? My freaking arm pad for my chair just like broke off. This is like supposed to be a top of the line chair. Yesterday the lights went out, and today my freaking arm pad. I'm like, it's a nice weapon though. But getting back to, oh, damn. There's like screws hanging out. I tried to put my arm over there just now. But, with social media too, like I generalize a lot of the negative stuff that I hate. But again, when I see some people out there just living the fraud life, I mean, just everything about them, fraud. And, I just say to myself, like, could you just imagine if social media is the only thing that gets them their most happiness, and some people get outed and exposed for what they are, and then they don't have that social media footprint anymore? I can only imagine if that drives someone over the edge. Because you have heard some people taking their life because of being bullied on social media and everything else. And, when you see Lana being driven to tears, I know there's a lot of people out there that, they think it's an act and they still don't care. But, at the end of the day, it does hurt your feelings, whether you're famous, successful or not. And everybody handles it differently. And, like I always say to myself, as much as there's few people out there that just like this could out and expose a lot of things. And then what happens if that drives them over the edge into a deep depression? I mean, is that worth it? I don't want to see anybody in depression. If social media is some people's way out, having this fake life and fake profile, and that gets them through the day or the week or the month, you know what I mean? If that's what it is, that's what it is. But, man, I don't like ever taking depression for granted, because you don't know. And on the flip side too, there are some of you out there who've told me some wonderful stories about people in wrestling. We will not name his and her names, but there's a few of you out there who have told me some stories about some people that we watch on TV that privately help them get through some of their deepest, darkest days. And trust me when I tell you, some people, I wish that I could make public half the stories that people have told me. Because if some people you see on TV come off really, really likable, if you had any idea how much they help some people emotionally without the cameras, I mean, that's why, like I say, maybe that's why when it came to like the tag titles for NXT women and stuff like that, like I always think about the human emotional side first and then the creative aspect of it second, because, there's a lot of good that a lot of people do that you never know about. And then there's some people out there that every little thing they do, there's got to be a camera on them. But never take depression for granted. If you have someone out there, a friend, someone you associate with, and you sense something is up, don't just brush it aside and like, get through it. Because there's a few people that I always think about without naming any names. and people that I really, really like and care for. And, unfortunately, there's only so much you could do. But, always keep an ear open and keep a shoulder available. That if somebody needs to lean on your shoulder for a little bit, even if they just want to vent, let them vent, and they'll feel so much better afterwards. So, and, for a few out there, all right, yeah, I get it, Jay and everything. Look at Nakamura. I mean, just think about that. It's, like I said, when I see what happened to Nakamura, and you see the real tears from Lana, and I know I keep bringing it up, but you see some people out there who have really dealt with depression. It's a real thing. And depression does not get treated with money or status. A lot of people think that. That's why I always say with the social media, there are some people out there that they have molded their whole life around a profile that doesn't exist, but people think exist. And sooner or later, those paths will come across each other. And, when that happens, that's pretty dangerous. There's some people out there who always will, make promises and make, they're going to do this and do that and do this. And then you realize that they're just doing it just to feel status. And then, at the end of the day, it doesn't happen. And, people aren't stupid. They see right through it. And then you realize, you develop a pressure. That's why, like I say with me, and I always give people advice out there, no pressure. No pressure. It might be a little bit lonely out there if you're just your true, legit self, straight up, and it may rub some people the wrong way, but at the end of the day, they know they got the authentic person. And at the end of the day, that always wins out because, I like to sleep at night with no drama. I tell you, that's why when people said, ever since I went to video, wow, you smile a lot. And because I really feel good on these shows. I love doing these shows and hanging out with all of you out there and chatting and everything. And, now being able to put video and proof behind all the stories I've told over the years, it's a wonderful thing because that's one thing I always never wanted to be accused of, and that's being a liar. But I like no drama. So when some people say to me, how do you deal with it? Because I rather not lie, just show my imperfect self and be honest. I still don't understand in 2021 how people out there are afraid to show their face. I mean, I understand it with dirtbags like Ringside Wrestling and stuff like that. They just want to write horrible shit out there and there's no face behind it. They hide behind just a website name. But individual people, I mean, I will never understand that level of insecurity that somebody can't show what their face looks like. I mean, other than baby pictures or cartoon graphics and stuff, I mean, I didn't do video for a long time because I was very insecure. I'm still very insecure. And, I was just very embarrassed with the way I looked. And it took a long time of a lot of people, a lot of you out there that said, DT, nobody gives a shit. You could be 300 pounds, you could be 30 pounds, you could be white, black, straight, gay, Asian, have 10 toes, 2 noses, it doesn't matter. And that AEW heels, that did it for me. The AEW heels, when everybody was making fun of it and everybody was saying that was just a money grab by AEW, then when I saw the screenshot for the first one, and saw every woman, every female smiling, fat, skinny, white, black, Asian, purple hair, blonde hair, no hair. Nobody cared. There was no battle for status. Everybody just was there for a good time. And that, to me, that's why I always say, when I talk to, you might notice there's a few people out there I never communicate with. Because if you can't show me, I like to see somebody eye to eye, face to face. Doesn't have to be in person, but I like to talk to people face to face. If you can't show me the respect of showing me your face, and not just your face when you were in grammar school, or show me your face. I want to know who I'm speaking to. If you can't even do that, not worth my time. That's why some of you out there, like I say, I understand why some people do it, but there's a few people out there that, to me, if you can't show me who I'm talking to, not worth my time. So, but I'm always there in case anybody needs me. So, what school will I be listening to Don Morocco's new podcast? Did you write that before I even said it? Because I tweeted it earlier too. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm going to watch some more of it tonight. I have autographed photos of Morocco inside. I got one of him and Mr. Fuji that I was going to give away on the shows, and I never did because I didn't think there would be much interest in it. Hell, I tried to give away the Bischoff tights. Nobody wanted it. I tried to give away the Too Cool signed magazine, thinking at minimum somebody will just throw it on eBay and get 2 bills for it because Grandmaster Sexay is deceased, unfortunately. Nobody wants it. It's very weird right now when it comes to autographs. I have a box of autographed WWE cards. A box this much. Now I have Eva Marie in there. I have AJ Lee in there. And those cards apparently are supposedly worth like 5 bills. But I have all these autographed cards, and I can't give them away. It just blows me away. Like, I would think autographs would be one of the coolest things for people to want. And it seems to be, however, very, very soon I'm going to be giving away that Ultimate Warrior signed plaque straight from his store. And you could easily get about $500 on eBay for it. So we're going to give that away in a couple of weeks. I'm hoping that this weekend's A&E biography is a really good one. I want to see Vince McMahon apologize. I want to see him apologize for the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior. I see that commercial and I see him saying, we had a friendship that nobody really knew. If it doesn't include an apology in there, Vince McMahon is full of fucking shit. Because everybody likes to do that after somebody dies. Somebody dies. People don't talk about them for 20, 30 years, but somebody dies. Oh, we were close friends. I talked to him the other day. Oh, we were hanging out last week. You liar. You liar. And Hogan did that too with Savage. Oh, right. The Ultimate Warrior too, right before. I think it's true with the Warrior, but Savage, there was no evidence that Hogan and Savage ever cleared things up. But someone dies, you have no proof. You have no proof. I could say, I was talking to that person yesterday. Keith says it's never going to happen. If Vince McMahon truly cares about the Warrior, I know he was very bitter for many years. Obviously, he signed off on his self-destruction, the Ultimate Warrior. He signed off on that. Plain and simple. He needs to apologize during this biography. I need him, when they bring up that DVD, I need him to apologize and own up to that. If he does, I will have a lot more respect for Vince McMahon. But if he's just going to play off like, we had this love-hate relationship, but we were really, really close in this and that, fuck you. Seriously. Oh, they have to mention it, Charlie. They have to mention that self-destruction DVD. They have to. I think they will. But I have a feeling Vince will apologize. Maybe he won't say the words, I apologize or I'm sorry, but he may say something like, looking back, I regret it. That DVD, there was no reason for it. It was unnecessary. It was wrong. If he says anything like that, that's an apology to me. But we'll see if he does. So, and finally for tonight, Nero Faye. Happy birthday to you, my brother. I did not realize it was his birthday. So, yeah, Lion, that DVD was a hit piece. I never watched it. Never watched it. Will never watch it either. But, Near, happy birthday to you, my friend. Congrats once again to Puffy89, who won the WrestleMania Backlash predictions last week. I will get in touch with you tomorrow to hook you up with your gift card. And Near was runner-up Near lives overseas. So Amazon e-gift card is not going to work for him. So Near, if you're hearing this, PayPal, if you want it, you let me know and I will hook you up tomorrow. So we'll get that done. But anyway, everyone, I am going to jet out of here. We are at the 2-hour mark, and I'm a little surprised we got that long. But hey, before you go, if you enjoyed the show, as I always ask, smash that like button. The more you do, the more you're telling YouTube that you enjoyed the show. They will, in turn, recommend it to others. And I thank you all for your support, as always. Make sure to check us out Monday night, 11:05 p.m. with Mish. I will be back here for Breakfast Soup Raw. I will continue to answer the questions on the Q&A. And also, very important, in the community section on my channel, this is for everybody tuning in, I put up a poll. How should I handle next Friday's show? Next Friday, AEW Dynamite is airing at 10 p.m. Eastern. I usually do the show at 10:05 p.m. Eastern. So the big question is, what should I do next Friday? And I think the three choices were, do I still do the Don Tony show next Friday at 10:05? I will cover SmackDown, NXT ratings, and maybe do a little AEW watch-along during the show. Or do I do next Friday, 10:05 p.m. Eastern, shorter show? We just talk about SmackDown, the road to Hell in a Cell, NXT ratings, and then Saturday I do an AEW recap, AEW Double or Nothing predictions, and give you a second show. So do a show Friday and Saturday. Or what was the third option? The third option was do the show next Friday, but instead of 10 p.m., do it at midnight. Do it after AEW ends. So please vote, because majority rules. I know as of earlier today, I think in the lead was do a shorter show next Friday night dedicated to just WWE, and then Saturday afternoon do AEW recap and predictions for Double or Nothing. So that was in the lead. We'll let the poll run a few more days, and then by Monday, I will let everyone know what the plans are. I also have to figure out what we're going to do Wednesday, because Wednesday is usually Wednesday Night Dynamite. No wrestling is on Wednesday night. So my early idea is come up here on YouTube Tuesday night, right after NXT, to give you an NXT recap. Then Wednesday, do Patreon. Flip-flop it. So instead of doing Patreon on Tuesday and then Wednesday Night Dynamite on Wednesday, for 1 week, we flip-flop it. I'll come up here on YouTube Tuesday, and then Wednesday I go on Patreon. So that's probably where we're going to go with this. I seriously doubt. I could also take off next Wednesday too, SoFly. In fact, what I'll do is over the weekend I'll post the second poll, how we handle Wednesday. And if majority says take Wednesday off, forget about NXT for next week, then I will do that. So I will tell you that it looks like the second week in July, I will be taking a little bit of a vacation. I was trying to set up the end of June to go to Florida for AEW and NXT, and I'm already getting a couple of issues, especially with NXT. If I can't go to NXT and visit also a couple of people that I'm friendly with, then I don't want to go to Florida. So as of right now, second week in July will probably be the day. I'll be taking about 5 days off. So, but anyway, everyone, much love as always. I'm going to jet out of here. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Hopefully that screw that you probably heard fall before, hopefully I find it and I can fix this chair tomorrow. Man, that sucks. 2 days ago, we had horrible audio and echo issues. Thank God we fixed that. Yesterday, the lights go out in the background, and then I streamed at the very end the little Goodfellas thing, and that got all choppy. And then tonight, my seat, my armrest on my chair breaks. Unbelievable. So hopefully tonight I will exit the same way I did yesterday. Little video, little tribute to my favorite movie of all time, my favorite pet of all time, and hopefully we don't have any choppy pee-pee this time around. So thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, and I will catch you all Monday night after Raw with Mish. Ciao, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the hosts. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.